everyone, I am Soumya and you are watching Education with ST. In this channel, you will get class 6 and 7 science educational videos and we will also cover question answers and notes. So in previous video, we have covered till the precautions of clinical thermometer and today we are going to cover the topic transfer of heat. We are going to do transfer of heat. In that we are going to do conduction, convection and radiation. So let us start with conduction first. So let's start with conduction. So take a piece of stiff copper wire and hold on the flame. Now see what's happened. Now the other end of copper wire becomes warm and just leave it for 2-3 minutes. After some time the other end of copper wire becomes hot and the end which is not hot was hot earlier. This is because heat is transferred from the flame to the copper wire. Now in solid, the constituent particles are very closely packed. They can only vibrate about their mean position. When one end of metallic strip or rod is heated, the particles at the end absorb energy and start vibrating more rapidly. These rapidly vibrating particles collide with their neighbors and transfer a part of heat energy to them. Now, as a result, these particles also start vibrating more rapidly, in turn cause their neighbor to vibrate more rapidly. Right. Now, this process continues until the last particle also starts vibrating more rapidly. Thus, heat energy is transferred from particle to particle through the whole length of strip, or we can say rod. Now, the process of conduction may be considered similar to passing of a book from person to person in classroom. So, what they are saying here that when we pass in classroom, when we pass the notebook person to person, same as heat is passed from molecule to molecule in a solid substance. Understood? Now let's come to the next topic of conduction. Now heat conduction from an object to any other takes place only under the following two conditions. Now what are those conditions? Let's see. The two objects should be in direct contact. The two objects should be at different temperature. So there are two conditions for the heat conduction from an object to any other take place when the object is in direct contact and when the object should be at different temperature. Right. Now all solids do not allow heat to pass through them with an equal ease. So some allow heat to pass through them faster than other, whereas some do not allow the passage of heat through them. So all materials can be classified into two classes. Now what are those classes? Material which conduct heat and materials which do not conduct heat. So material which allow heat to flow through them easily are called good conductors of heat. Note the words. The material which allow heat to flow through them easily are called good conductors of heat. All metals and their alloys are good conductors of heat. Now, the material which do not allow heat to flow through them easily are called poor conductor of heat. Examples: water, air, glass are poor conductors of heat. Now, the material which do not allow heat to flow through them are called non-conductors of heat. पहले तो easily allow किया तो good conductors of heat हो गए. सेकेंड में उन्होंने अच्छे से अलाउ नहीं किया, easily अलाउ नहीं किया, मतलब थोड़ा थोड़ा अलाउ किया हीट को पास करने से, तो पुअर कंडक्टर्स ऑफ हीट हो गए. और जो बिल्कुल भी नहीं पास होने दे रहे, थोड़ा सा भी नहीं, वो नॉन कंडक्टर्स ऑफ हीट हो गए. So non-conductors, good conductors and poor conductors. I hope that is clear to you. Now let's come to uses of good conductors and non-conductors of heat. Both good conductors and non-conductors of heat are useful for us. The materials which are non-conductor of heat or insulator are used to prevent transfer of heat, and the materials which are good conductor of heat are used whenever heat to be transferred fast. Now, what we understood from these paragraphs, that if we take an example of a saucepan, so in saucepan handle is non-conducting material, while its body is made up of good conductor of heat. It is made up of metal or any material, but in which we cook, that pan is made up of good conductors, and it allow heat to pass through them. And its handle is non-conductor here, so it will do not allow the heat to transfer from it, right? Now here the handles are made up of good quality of plastic, and the pan is made up of a metal or alloy or steel, anything it is made up of. But steel, metal are good conductors, plastic, wood, bricks, asbestos sheets are poor conductors of heat, so that's why it is used to prevent heat. Here in your do you know box, the handle of a metal kettle is covered with cane, because cane is a poor conductor of heat. Now this topic, I hope it is clear to you. Now let's come to how do woolen clothes keep us warm during winters. Now how do they keep us warm in winter? Let me tell you. Wool fiber is porous. It has trapped inside the pores. It has air trapped inside the pores. Now air is a non-conductor of heat. It will do not allow the body heat to escape or go out to the surrounding. As a result, woolen keep us warm during winters. Now let me explain you. If in the jacket I will wear let's take the example of a blanket. So if I take one thick blanket and two thin blankets, what will happen? The two thin blankets will keep me warm than one thick blanket. How? Because one thick blanket has no air trapped inside it. It has less air trapped inside it, and the two thick blankets, two thin blankets having air trapped inside it. They are trapping the air, so that's why it is what it is. It will keep us more warm than one thick blanket. I'm sorry for if I'm confusing you in thick and thin, but search on it. I don't know the difference between on thick and thick. Now let's come on convection. When liquids and gases are heated, the heat is carried from one part to another by the actual movement of hot particles. Now, this movement of particles due to the temperature difference between different parts of the same substance is called convection. What is convection? The movement of particles due to the temperature difference between different parts of the same substance is called convection. Rewind the video and note this line in your any fair or rough notebook, because it can be as your notes, because this is a definition of convection and it's the most important topic. So, some application of convection currents. Now, what are those applications? Ventilation in rooms, land and sea breeze, and ocean currents. So, we are going to understand these three topics. We can see it as topics. So, first topic is ventilation in rooms. Now, warm air being lighter rises up and leaves the room through the ventilators provided near the ceiling. What happens is when you have seen any warm air filled balloon, what happens is it goes up. Same here, that warm air being lighter rises up and leaves the room through the ventilators provided near the ceiling. Now, to make up for this, fresh air from outside enters the room through the doors and windows. The convection current so set in the air and help us keeping the air in the room fresh. Now, land and sea breeze. I hope first ventilation in room topics is clear to you. Now, land and sea breeze. Now, land and sea breezes are actually convection currents. Some applications of convection currents and land and sea breeze are actually convection currents. Now, during the day, land warms up more than the sea. The air, why it warms more than sea? Because seawater is filled with lots of water. We cannot warm it at once. It takes time. So before that, land gets warm. Now the air over the land becomes hotter and rises upwards as balloon, right? To take its place, the cooler air from the sea moves towards the land. Now this convection current from the sea to the land is called sea breeze. What is sea breeze? Convection current from the sea to the land is called the sea breeze. In between the chapters, I am going to tell the notes, so please note it down. It will help you out in your exams. So, to take its place, the cooler air from the sea moves towards the land. Now, this convection current from the sea to the land is called sea breeze. After sunset and losses heat faster than the sea water. Now, after sunset, here what is happening now? Sea have get it warm. Now, as a result, the air over the sea is warmer at night. The air over the sea being warmer rises up and take its place. Cooler air from land starts moving towards the sea. Convection current from the land to sea is called land breeze. What is land breeze? The convection current from the land to the sea is called land breeze. Note my words in any notebook, it will help you out. Now, ocean currents. The ocean near water, the equator, gets heated by the sun rays. As a result, the ocean water in equatorial region becomes hotter and lighter. The ocean water in the polar region is colder and therefore denser. Due to this temperature difference, warm water starts flowing on the surface of ocean from equatorial region to the polar region, and cold water starts flowing from the polar region to equatorial region below the surface of ocean. Now such flow of ocean water forms ocean currents. Ocean currents help in maintaining the ocean temperature. Now that's why the places which is near at the ocean or sea is what is denser, is colder and denser. Now we are going to talk about radiation. So, we feel warm when we sit in the sun, in front of fire, or in front of electric heater. Obviously, when we sit in front of fire, sun, or heater, so what do we feel? We feel warm. Now, how does heat travel from the sun, from the fire, and from the electric heater to us? There is no direct contact between us and the source of heat. The air between us and the source of heat is bad conductor of heat. Therefore, heat transfer cannot be due to the conduction. It cannot be convection because the hot air rises upwards and not towards us. In fact, heat from any distant source reaches us by any other mode of heat transfer called radiation. Now, all hot substances, whether solid, liquids, or gas, transfer heat by radiation. Radiation needs no medium. Transfer of heat by radiation can occur even in vacuum. Thermal radiation is called infrared radiation. Now this radiation travels with the speed of light. Thermal radiation can even travel through the vacuum. Now, a book can be passed on to a person by direct throw, just as heat is transferred from a hot body to colder body by radiation. Now, absorption of radiant heat. Radiant heat consists of thermal radiation. Then thermal radiation falls on a body, a part of it absorbed by it. The absorbed radiation makes the molecules to vibrate more vigorously. The increased molecular vibrations make the body hotter. The quantity of heat absorbed by the body depends on its distance from the source of heat. Black bodies are better heat absorbers than the white bodies. Black bodies are better heat radiators than the white bodies. This line is repeated, this line is repeated 2 times. In first it's written absorbers, and in next point it's written radiators. So don't be confused. What they are saying that in winter we are not allowed, Papa says to wear any dark color cloth. Why do they say to us? Because any dark color cloth or white color cloth are more heat absorbers. They are better heat absorbers, and white color cloth is not very much heat absorber. So we can say darker bodies are better heat absorbers than lighter bodies. Now in next topic there are some examples. So that are examples of radiation only, and first is why it is more comfortable to wear white or light colored clothes in summer and dark colored clothes in winter, as I have explained it here. Now, why does an electric room heater has a polished surface? These are examples only. You can read it by yourself and understood it. With this, our chapter is completed. Exercises we will do it later on. So we have completed chapter 4, but question answers is left. So soon I will upload that also. And see you in the next video. Hope you have subscribed, like to this video if it's helpful to you. And this part of chapter 4 is in description box.